It was very safe for girls and we felt very united.
There were risks of our lives. Brothers, sisters are injured. I got hit on my back. The ultimate objective to ensure the right of people, right of vote, freedom of speech.
Who would have thought after 2 months of protesting, it would lead to the resignation of Sheikh Hasina? After 4 weeks of peaceful protest throughout June, students from Dhaka University came to this location in Shahbag to protest against the Bangladeshi government's quota policy system. The quota policy system allocated 30% of all civil service jobs in Bangladesh to the relatives, the children and grandchildren of the liberation fighters of 1971. But in reality, what this actually became for many years was that the Awami League and Sheikh Hasina utilised the quota system policy to allocate these jobs for her loyalists, and the students had had enough and they had gathered at this location to protest against this. They were joined by other students from other public universities in Dhaka, and here they were met by police and Chhatra League goons, where they were beaten and attacked by rubber bullets. And they arrived here at the statue of the Raju Vaskodjo representing the 1971 liberation. Mujib to Hasina, we reject fascists. We want a country free of terrorists, referring to the Chhatra League. This type of artwork and anti-regime artwork is splattered all across the streets and the walls of Dhaka. I'm currently at the University of Dhaka to speak to the students who participated in the protests in July, as well as some of the key coordinators, to understand the events that led to the monumental event of the resignation of Sheikh Hasina, and more recently, the banning and the proscription of Chhatra League as a terrorist organisation. So one of the key players during the quota reform movement and the anti-discrimination movement was student coordinators. So I'm actually with AB Jubair, who's also a student coordinator. Assalamu alaikum, Jubair.
How
are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah. What about you?
I'm good. Tell me, what is the role of a student coordinator during the protests? What did that involve?
Actually, coordinators means we actually use the term by which we mean the people, the students who conducted the movement. During the movement, who spread the movement all over the country.
How did you overcome things like phone calls being tapped, government agencies following your movements, communication? Did you have these issues?
Yeah, we all faces the issue. Actually, we used some techniques to avoid this type of situation. Like we didn't use SIM in our phone. We just used Wi-Fi, and whenever we got out from our home, we make our phone SIM free.
Wow, so you were communicating based on Wi-Fi, no SIM card?
No SIM card, because SIM card was stuck.
Was there any point during the protests from July the 17th, 15th onward up to August the 4th where the students themselves were forced to defend themselves?
All the time we were type of bound to face this type of problems. There were risks of our lives. We could be kidnapped, we could be murdered. There were no security of our lives. So we were ready to face any type of problems.
I'm with Muntasir Naseem, another student at Dhaka University. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Did you get hit?
Yes, I get hit on my back.
Tell us a bit about that.
On 15th August, in front of my own hall, Vijay Kattur, I, with other protesters, were on the gate to see my other friends that were being held hostage by Chhatra League. Suddenly, out of nowhere, from three halls, Joshimuddin Hall, Vijay Kattur Hall, and Bangabandhu Hall, Chhatra League came in forces with broken bottles, bamboo stick, and other sharp weapons. I almost got hit. They are 4 inches from my head. The Ramdao struck the wall. I got hit on my back. On 17th August, when there was the symbolic funeral, there were sudden sound grenades, there were cocktails. On that day, I got hit by a rubber bullet on my waist by police. It was a total massacre from 18 July to 4th August. They killed and held hostage innumerable students who do not have any kind of political affiliations, only because they studied in a particular institutions that were involved in the protest. It was very horrific. It was a matter of life and death. It was a matter of their careers. These children, they haven't even completed their colleges. They had to face jail. Jail is the maximum amount of punish you can humanly impose on a person. And they had to face that at a very young age.
Whilst filming at Dhaka University, I actually bumped into one of my Facebook friends, Anjum Shahiyar, who's actually a student at Jahangir University. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you, Anjum?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
I'm good. What was the situation at Jahangir University?
Jahangir University was one of the leading universities who led the quota reformation later turned into the anti-government protest. And Jahangir University really played an important role because we are also located in Dhaka, so a big part of the protests happened in the Savar area. So those protests were based on the activities of Jahangir University. And Jahangir University was the first university who led the BSL Chhatra League out of the campus. In 15th of July, the BSL, the first time they targeted us and attacked us with machetes and
were you attacked?
Rods. Yeah, I was one of the first victims. So I was on the first row of the movement, and the BSL guys, they were our friends and our seniors and juniors. We stayed in the hall together, and we thought they were coming and they would just pass on.
Whoa. These were guys who you knew?
Yeah.
Some were friends?
Yeah. I was attacked by one of my hallmates with whom I shared a bed.
Wow.
This ideology, turns people into monsters. They don't know anyone. They don't care about who you are. You are your friend or you are your brother. They don't care. If you are against the ideology of BSL, they can attack you.
So what is the ideology of BSL?
The ideology of BSL, you can call it the Mujibbat.
Okay.
Mujibbat means, it's not just a political ideology. It's turned into a civil religion. You cannot criticize Sheikh Mujib. He's like a prophet. You can't even speak his name. You have to call him by Bangabandhu. You have to call him the Hajar Basore Sreshta Bangali. Then you're gonna speak his name.
Let me ask you, were you involved in the protests?
Yeah, I was involved at the very beginning to the last.
And do you know any friends or peers who were injured or killed?
Many of the students, many of my brothers, sisters are injured, and they were attacked by the Bangladesh Chhatra League, and they were tortured by them. And it was a severe situation.
Do you support the banning of, Chhatra League was banned yesterday?
Yes, I really support this one. Why not? Because they just, did crime the last 16 years in our country. And even they didn't let express our freedom of speech.
Let's say I came to campus 8 months ago with a camera asking you these questions. Would that be possible?
No, I think it's not possible. Yeah, if possible, but I would be in a dangerous situation because the government, they will search me. They will maybe arrest me. There's a possibility. There is a more possibility at the time.
I am with Umama Fatima, who is one of the leading student coordinators at Dhaka University. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Apa, tell me, what was your exact role during those critical weeks from July to the beginning of August?
Well, yes, I was one of the coordinators of the Students Against Discrimination platform. I had to take the leading part for gathering the female students from the dormitories. I and many other students from our hall, we actually worked as a volunteer to gather the girls, and the girls actually came voluntarily. It was extremely spontaneous movement. So every person here came spontaneously. We actually worked as a volunteer to organize them, to organize the movement. Girls from all 5 halls came to the central library, and we started the procession with the boys hall and the other universities. We went from central library to Shahbag, and we started our protest in the Shahbag.
Now, we saw pictures, videos of many female students. Did you sense that they were extra vulnerable for the fact that they were women? Or did you sense that they were equally as passionate as the male students?
Female student participation was much greater than the male students. Movement was going on from 1st July, but after 5th July, if you see the ratio of female and male participation, the female participation was around 60 to 65% of the whole crowd. We had 10% quota in this government jobs, but we came because it was an injustice to the whole generation, injustice to the youth. So we came to the streets, and we couldn't take the verdict of the High Court, and when we came to the streets, it was a different thing. It was like our body language changed. When we went to the protest, it was extremely vibrant and extremely cheerful moment for us. And that's the thing, that's the gist of this whole movement that attracted the girls, because it was very safe for girls, and we felt very united.
What is left for the anti-discrimination movement to achieve? I ask you this because one of the criticisms was that students go back to being students. You know, let the country run. What's left to achieve for the anti-discrimination movement from your perspective?
The anti-discrimination movement started for the quota system, right? But after 16 July, when Abu Said died in front of a shotgun, it was the movement turned to a anti-Sheikh Hasina or anti-regime movement. After the whole protest and after the mass uprisal, when Sheikh Hasina fled Bangladesh, it's kind of a responsibility that came to our hand, and we have to keep going with it. Bangladesh has to work this way, where students are politically conscious. They want to work with their government, they want to question their government, and they have their own voices. And the Student Against Discrimination platform, this is kind of a pressure group for the government. So we have to keep the government in track. So we the leaders, we can go back to our classes. We have to keep check and balance in the government.
So much for everything that you've done. May Allah accept your efforts. What is the ultimate objective of the anti-discrimination movement? The ultimate objective?
The ultimate objective is to ensure the right of people, right of vote, right of speech, freedom of speech, and the ultimate objective is to quash all the discrimination and brutal kind of discrimination the previous regime has opened to this country.
When is the right time for elections?
After the reformation, the constitutional reformation and institutional reformation, we have actually demanded 2 types of reformation: constitutional reformation and institutional reformation. When our demand will be met, then the right time of vote will come, of course. And we are actually heading to vote. We believe democracy cannot be established without the proper right to vote.
As the quota reform protests were gaining momentum across the country, what started emerging was the artistic expression of street artwork on the walls and streets of Dhaka. Here we have one that says, Amar Bhai, my brother, why was he killed? Here we have the picture, artwork of Abu Said. Abu Said has now become the iconic figurehead of the quota system reformation protest. Abu Said was a student at Begum Rokea's University, and he became world famous when his picture went viral of him spreading out his arms, and he was shot dead by police. And we started seeing more and more of these artwork. I mean, I've been walking around Dhaka for the best part of a week, and the walls are filled with anti-Hasina regime artwork, because the brutality didn't just start in 2024. It didn't just start in 2022. Here we have an artwork of Abrar Fahad, a student that was killed in 2019 by Chhatrali goons in his dormitories. And this is something that had become normal under Sheikh Hasina's tyrannical rule. And wherever you go in Dhaka now, there are artwork showing solidarity with students that had been killed or jailed before. And of course now, Abu Saeed and those of other students that had been killed or jailed now fill the walls of Dhaka as an expression of the things that they had achieved and the sacrifices that was made for this country. It is important to state that when the anti-quota system student-led protests began, their demands wasn't for Sheikh Hasina to step down. But what happened was that as the brutality of the regime got worse and the death toll increased and the police and RAB and Chhatra League had killed more and more students and average civilians, and the death toll had surpassed 1,000, that people gathered in their tens and thousands at Shahid Minar Square right here, where they announced a unified single movement. And it went from an anti-quota system movement to an anti-regime movement where the people had vowed to get Hasina to step down. And this included civil society, the middle class, your average CNG and rickshaw drivers, as well as students from across the country who had vowed that they will not stop protesting until Hasina has stepped down. When the leaders of the anti-discrimination movement had announced a march for Dhaka on August the 6th and then changed the date to August the 5th, Sheikh Hasina was under immense pressure to deliver on their demands by stepping down. On August the 5th, in the afternoon, she had cut internet for 2 hours, and during this time, millions of Bangladeshis from all walks of life had descended upon the capital city, marching towards the parliament building and her home. She had fled in a military helicopter to India, and they broke the walls and they broke the gates and they had entered the parliament building, and they renamed the August the 5th as Independence 2.0. Did the tens and thousands of protesters and Bangladeshis in general envisage that the efforts and the sacrifices of the anti-quota system protesters would lead to the downfall of a brutal dictator who had ruled this country with an iron fist for 15 years? No doubt what the events of August the 5th would shape a new Bangladesh. What now is the future of Bangladesh? After bringing down a fascist regime of 15 years of brutal rule, various stakeholders in Bangladesh are now deciding what this new future, what this new independence will look like. But the real question remains that will the deeply corrupted cronyism that has marred Bangladeshi politics, will they get rid of this system? Will they return to fascism? Was August the 5th just a cosmetic change, or will there be truly a new future for Bangladesh, not just domestically, but as a player in Asia?